On today's program, an artist who can awaken the art of painting in others, an artist who made classical Japanese poetry clearer and closer, and an astronomer who became a yoga teacher. There is a popular phrase that there are no untalented children. It is true indeed. Every child is a genius in his own way, but we think that these talents are extinguished with age. But if you ask any person how he feels, it turns out that he felt the same in childhood. This means that nothing disappears. The hero of our program, a poet and painter known in many countries around the world, now opens creativity in the most seemingly ordinary people who believe that they have no artistic skills.
Я занимаюсь тем, что обучаю людей живописи и помогаю им за день или за два написать свою картину маслом.
I teach people how to draw and help them to paint oil pictures within 1 or a couple of days. These are people who could not even imagine that they could paint. I mean, one comes and we teach some theory in 5 minutes, then within 1 day we help to paint. After that, he takes his work with him.
Работу, которую он забирает с собой. Это то, чем мы сейчас занимаемся.
This is what we do now. Recently in Almaty, we've conducted our first exhibition. 100 paintings were done by people who have never painted before. All paintings that you can see are painted for the first time, or maybe the second time.
Все эти картины, которые здесь есть, это картины людей, которые написали их первый, ну, может быть, кто-то второй раз.
Almost for every newfound artist, it becomes a revelation. Yes, of course, not everybody can paint like Monet or Michelangelo, Repin or Goya, but the fact that the person who has no art education, knowledge and skills can create a real canvas, it is a miracle.
Если у человека есть желание, неважно, сколько ему, 10 лет или 70, ну, как говорят, человек в душе молод, да?
No matter how old you are, 10 or 70 years old, the most important is to have a desire like young at heart. For art, you need to have a great burning desire. How can you have it? You may see it from your friends, or maybe painting is an unembodied dream. For example, you used to draw at school, but because of bad marks, you just gave up. Or you painted at home on the walls, but your mom didn't allow you to do it, and again you gave up. But here you can free your emotions and just draw.
Ну, какие-то картинки, либо что-то он приносит из интернета, то, что ему нравится. То есть мы не просим рисовать.
The secret of our work is very simple. We let people choose pictures by himself, or he can bring what he likes from the internet. I mean, we don't ask to paint a chair or a jug. He just comes and tells us what he wants to paint. He already likes the picture and we just help to realize his desire. And just imagine how a person creates something he believes he can't, and when he creates it, what emotions fill him. I don't know what it looks like, maybe something like meditation, or magic, or even a miracle.
Но это похоже на то, что, что чудо создается.
Oleg had the craving for something sublime since childhood. Coming from a simple working-class family, he nonetheless grew as a bookish child, loved to spend time in libraries, clubs, and sections. And over time, he began to feel an irresistible attraction to the sky.
Я мечтал изучать звезды.
I wanted to study the stars, so I enrolled in the Faculty of Physics of the University of Dnepropetrovsk, Ukraine. And I imagined that we would invent rollers, some missiles. Well, that was such a dream that I would be engaged somehow to outer space and its development. But it turned out that we were working on society. We did a little bit of rocketry, but the education itself didn't meet my expectations, so I went to school to teach astronomy. That was my first occupation, a teacher of astronomy.
И я пошел в школу преподавать астрономию. То есть первая моя профессия – это учитель астрономии.
Surprisingly, but this accident professor has become the calling of Oleg Yurov. It so happened that soon astronomy remained for him just a hobby, but teaching itself was the main occupation, and whatever he would do in the future.
Меня заинтересовал Восток. То есть я, можно сказать, что я был учителем медитации 15 лет.
I was interested in the East. I can say I was a teacher of meditation for 15 years, and during this period I learned many Eastern traditions, its culture, and above all I was interested in its people. We even had a 1.5-month trip to India for meeting with different people and just asking them one simple question: what is the meaning of life? and people from priests to ordinary people who work. For example, in kitchens, they answered in different ways, and their answers caused many other questions like, who is a person? What should he do? What does he need? What should he do first? What dreams does he want to come true?
Что же такое человек, и что с ним делать, и что ему нужно, и что бы он хотел сделать в первую очередь, какие мечты он хочет воплотить.
Oleg Yurov became a member of an international program aimed at reviving the feeling of having life goals in people, revealing the talents and abilities, and he taught this technique in many countries around the world.
Цель — это вот то, ради чего человек живет.
The goal is the thing a person lives for. There are general goals like making money, a good career, building a house, having children, and also people have some reasons that push them to achieve these goals. Everybody has different reasons. Not everybody can find it out. This program is for school children, but I also teach this program for many adults because they also can't find it out.
Для многих взрослых людей, потому что они тоже не понимают.
This stage in the life of Oleg Yurov was a time of searching and awareness of the meaning of life not only for others, but also for himself. Something was maturing inside that later allowed him to inspire other people, creativity. But before his creativity was manifested in painting, our hero became known as a poet.
У меня есть там свое имя. Японские стихи — это трехстишие, и это мое посвящение.
I have my own name. I devoted many years to Japanese tercets, and I can say I'm a professional in this area. But an ordinary person doesn't want to write Japanese tercets because it is not his tradition, and it is difficult to understand it. Another reason is that there is no rhyme there. Our people mostly like Pushkin, Lermontov, Svetkova, and others.
Пушкина, Лермонтова, там, Цветкова и так далее. Когда человек пишет рифмованное стихотворение, как правило, он не знает, что он напишет.
When one writes a poem with rhymes, he usually doesn't know what he will write. It depends on the rhyme he creates, on emotion. He doesn't know where his rhyme will turn. Unlike in Japanese poetry, they always know what to write, because there are no metaphors. You're not just beautifying your verse, you just look at something and write about it.
Вы не приукрашаете это. То есть вот вы на что-то посмотрели, и именно это и передали.
Japanese verse was so close to Oleg Yurov that the very first experiments brought him recognition of haiku lovers from their homeland, Japan, as well as wins in international poetry competitions.
Спросил старуху о ее молодости. Долго улыбалась.
I asked an old woman about her youth. She smiled for a long time. This verse is in the 10 top world verses. One Japanese master chose this verse, and I was invited to New York to receive my prize. I was touched. I understood that one can write Japanese verses in Russian. Then he had several awards in other competitions. He also experienced judicial work to which Oleg was attracted to as a person with a special sense of Japanese poetry. And today he's considered one of the leading experts in this field.
Одна из таких значительных побед в мире хайку — это то, что я в числе.
One of my victories in haiku is that I was one of 10 lecturers at the World Haiku Conference in Sofia, Bulgaria, where I had a speech about theory of haiku to Japanese. First it was translated into English, then into Japanese. It was great to participate there, to see what we have and where it goes. It was one of my big victories, and I also have my speech in Japanese.
Это была из таких очень важных побед. У меня есть мой доклад на японском языке.
Back in 2002, Oleg Yurov published the first collection of his poetry, Firstborn of Spring, which was sold just for connoisseurs and became a rarity. And now he is finishing a new big collection where, in addition to Japanese poetry, there are Japanese style figures by the author.
Ее осталось просто издать. Там где-то 10 моих книг, которые в основном, вот первая была издана в печатном виде.
Just printing left, there are about 10 books of mine. Most of them are published on the internet, and the first was printed. I chose the best ones and painted some pictures. The book is square-shaped and has 312 pages. It is called World Structure, or Haiku Guestbook.
Она будет называться, вернее, она называется «Устройство мира» или «Книга гаданий на хайку».
And finally, something happened that changed life, not only for our hero, but also a huge number of people in various countries. Oleg Yurov started painting. not just as an artist, but as a teacher and a conductor of the ideas of the creative self-realization. Now his seminars on painting become one of the most popular artistic events of the country.
Я обучал детей, своих друзей, я обучал просто своих друзей. Они просто говорили, как ты это делаешь, покажи нам, и я для них проводил какие-то...
I taught children of my friends as well as my friends. They just asked, how can you do this? Show us. And I trained them also. The results I saw inspired me too. When people paint by themselves, they take the picture home and hang it on the wall. We give it to friends because many people who come to us, they want to present their work to their parents or friends. They say, I have only one day. Tomorrow is my father's birthday. They can buy any painting at a shop, but when they paint it by themselves, putting in their own emotions, it is absolutely different. You cannot buy it at any shop.
Когда я начал писать сам, у меня ушло очень много ложных данных по поводу того, что из себя представляет живопись.
When I started painting, I had many wrong ideas about what painting is. I thought that a person must have some talent to paint, and he must learn much. Of course, I am not against the talent and some professional education, but a person can easily realize his dream and paint a good enough picture just having learned some basic painting skills.
Достойную работу может практически каждый человек, немного получив каких-то навыков в живописи.
In order to inspire others, you must be inspired yourself. Painter, poet, and teacher Oleg Yurov receives energy in traveling and communicating with people. He traveled to dozens of countries and passed thousands of kilometers. And the energy is received there and passed through his big heart, splashes on Oleg's canvases and his students.
Я такой человек, который люблю приключения. Мне нравится вот жить на полную катушку. Я люблю горы, то есть одно из моих увлечений.
I am a man who loves adventures. I like mountains. One of my hobbies is to visit the mountains. I was on Altai, Caucasus, Carpathian Mountains. Usually it is extreme trips.
Я очень люблю, когда люблю состояние, когда нужно что-то решать вот в каждые минуту либо 5.
I love the condition when you need to make a decision every minute. The more the path in the mountain is interesting, the more I wonder what I have around the next turn. Therefore, when you go to Tibet or Nepal, especially with a backpack, or when you go to the Altai Mountains to have some mountain adventures, it is a real life, full of interesting moments.
Она очень интересна.
Today, the creative project implemented by the artist has gone far beyond Kazakhstan. It includes several countries and many latter-day artists who discovered their talent, which they even hadn't known about.
Сам проект не заканчивается на том, что мы просто пишем картины. То есть мы сейчас провели выставку. У нас было голосование.
The project is not finished by just painting the picture. We had an exhibition of 100 pictures where people chose 10 of them that they liked much. Out of these 100 pictures, only 3 can participate in the New York exhibition. We have this project in 21 countries where people can paint approximately 100 works. And the topic for these works is children, music, and parents.
Это музыка, это цветы, это родители, это что-то высокое. Потом мы хотим понести этот проект еще дальше, рисовать на центральных площадях.
Then we want this project to go further, to paint at central squares of world countries, to burn the idea for many people in flash mobs. We want people to take out their canvases and just paint on the streets and just realize their ideas. They can take pictures home or just give them to kindergartens or different organizations so people can admire them. That's just the big idea in our project.
Организации, чтобы люди смотрели на эту красоту. Вот такая вот большая идея в этом всем.